Contrabands were found, cell phones to be exact, is in my custody at this point, and right now we're reviewing it.
It isn't the first time cell phones have been found in the hands of inmates who are supposed to be serving hard time behind bars. And it isn't a first time for this either.
3 inmates tested positive for methamphetamine. They've been segregated and placed on a secured unit, and this case is being brought to my office for investigation.
So the pressing question yet again at the Department of Corrections is, how are drugs and cell phones making it inside what is supposed to be a secure facility where the island's criminals serve their time away from alcohol, tobacco, illegal drugs, and any luxuries like cell phones? But DEPCOR spokesperson Jeff Limo says 3 of the inmates in the minimum security facility tested positive for drugs, and now there's an investigation to determine how there was a breach of security.
Their privileges are less restrictive, and because of their classification of minimum in custody. However, they will still follow the same policies and procedures as far as the searches are concerned.
Limo says at least 1 officer has been brought in for questioning and forced to take a urinalysis test, and the investigation continues.
I'm not going to rule that out, that personnel are involved at this point. That is an isolated unit way out in the perimeters of the Department of Corrections.
Less than 2 months ago, the department wrapped up an investigation after the entire facility had been placed on lockdown back in March, following the discovery of a hole in the perimeter fence on the backside of the domes that house pretrial detainees. During a sweep at that time, DEPCOR officers found a cell phone, drug paraphernalia, and other contraband. 5 detainees tested positive at the time, and 2 DEPCOR officers were terminated as a result. Lieutenant David Alvarez and Corrections Officer Aaron Jessup are appealing their terminations with the Civil Service Commission. Their terminations followed a string of other DEPCOR officers who were fired. According to news files, Van Murata, who was assigned to the visitor processing section, was fired in late June for failing to take a drug test. DEPCOR officer Eric Tatauto resigned earlier this year after he was arrested twice on drug possession charges, and he's currently being held behind bars facing federal drug trafficking and conspiracy charges. Limo says the ongoing investigation will determine whether there is in fact drug trafficking going on behind bars, and it'll also determine how the drugs are making their way into the prison.
In order for someone to even get contraband in there, either 1, they throw it over, or 2, someone's carrying it in, and I will get to the bottom of it.
Reporting in Manila for Guam's News Network, I'm Mindy.